Hey guys, LeBron NDA here with probably my last NHL 13 gameplay footage, and the biggest reason is because NHL 14 comes out this Tuesday. So I thought this would be a good time to actually kind of do I guess kind of a review. I know it's kind of stupid to do a review after the game has been out for over a year and the new one's coming out, but when it comes to a sports game, I think it's best if you kind of wait to see how everything goes, start the season, to see how the glitches were, how EA actually improved the game or made it even worse through patches, and how just overall how like people played the game. Did they exploit certain movements or maneuvers, or things like that. So, and by the way, this is an online versus. It's probably I actually played this for this video, and it was done today. So let's kind of get into this, and just kind of talk about it. So, a few things I liked about NHL 13. One was the new skating mechanic. I like how, I know some people don't. Now, I mean, that's their opinion. We all have our own opinions, but when it comes to NHL 13, I like the way the players skate. I like the fact that you couldn't simply turn on a dime, and you've seen that happen a lot, especially on the EA Sports Hockey League games, where people would just simply stop and turn around and go the opposite direction, which made it very difficult for defense to do that. However, with the new skating mechanic, it adds some realism into it and stopped a lot of that. But the problem, in typical EA fashion, is they overdone it. But thankfully, having played the NHL 14 demo, they seem to have toned it down. The radius of you having to skate around to the radius, they kind of toned that down a little bit, and I think they might have a good balance with NHL 14. Of course, we'll have to see how that works out, especially in online. See, a lot of these issues don't really come up until you play online against a human being who, depending on how they play, some people like to go for the sure thing, the sure goals all the time. I'm not one of those type of people. As you can probably tell if you've watched any of my videos, I prefer to kind of, how do I say it? I prefer to play more realistically. I don't always do the deke moves and stuff like most other people do online. I prefer to pass around if I can, try to set up people, do one-timers, or do slap shots from the point and stuff like that, and hope for a tip. That's how hockey is played for the most part in real life, and that's how I prefer to play. Of course, I mean, occasionally I'll switch things up if that method's not working out. Then I'll try to do some dekes up close and see how that works out. But generally speaking, I prefer to try to take a more realistic approach to playing NHL. But again, not everyone plays that way, which is fine. So yeah, I mean, skating mechanic was the big thing I noticed in NHL 13. They seem to have toned it down a little bit, which is a good thing for NHL 14. Another thing I liked, but again, they overdone it, was the cross-crease goals. You used to see it happen a lot, where that was like the go-to move, especially if you're playing with real people. Always pass to the open guy, 2-on-1 kind of thing. And it was, for the most part, a sure goal. Now, they took that out by introducing what a lot of people termed the Spider-Man goaltending. But that was kind of a nice goal there. But, I mean, that was taking it too far. I mean, basically, there were some spectacular saves that these goalies were doing. Unreal saves. They did tone it down quite a bit in the through patches and stuff like that. So it'd be interesting to see how NHL 14 kind of takes that and see if they overdo it again or they tweaked it some more. I know they tweaked the goalies a lot in NHL 14, and unfortunately I didn't play the demo enough to really try out the various cross-crease moves and stuff that were a common thing in earlier editions of NHL. But that's one thing I think they improved, but there's definitely room for improvement. So then you have things like the BAGM mode and things like that. BAGM mode, I love BAGM mode. It's one of my favorite modes. It's one of those modes that I used to play right down to like NHL 94, or was it 95? I can't remember when it was first introduced. But basically, I used to remember, just going through and just enjoying, trying to come up with these different scenarios, trying, a Wayne Gretzky on the Leafs, or my friend who was a Rangers fan, trying Scott Stevens on the Rangers and stuff like that. So it's always one of those modes I always like playing, and the biggest problem, especially the last few years, is the simming aspect of it. It takes a hell of a long time to sim a game, and let alone a month or even a full season. It should not take as long as it does, especially on PS3. I hear it's bad on the Xbox 360, but it is even worse on the PS3. It's crazy how long it takes to sim, and unfortunately it also affects the gym connected mode, which it takes a long time, but to some aspects you can kind of understand because it is online and it's pulling data from the server, but even still it takes way too long. However, thankfully, from what I've been told, or rather what I've read with NHL 14, that was one of the big things with the GM modes for both GM connected and BAGM mode, is that they improved the simming speed, and especially accessing all the various menus and stuff. So thankfully they listened on that part. Unfortunately, they waited till like the very last game on the current gen consoles now, and we'll see how NHL 15, which I assume will be on next gen consoles like the PS4 and Xbox One, how they go with that. You would think, being faster consoles, that the simming should be the last of their concern. It shouldn't take that long to sim games, and I honestly don't know why. So going still kind of in the GM mode, but it could affect other modes, is like stats. And I'm someone who always likes looking at stats. Like, one of the things I enjoy playing, like, I'm not even a huge baseball fan, but I love playing out of the park baseball, and it's really due to the stats. I like going through a few seasons as a GM, building my team, and then going back and seeing not only how like the players improved, but also even going as far into detail as what trades I did in like my first season, and who I drafted and things like that. I mean, that's something I hope that that they'll add into an NHL game. I do realize NHL video games, generally speaking, I mean, these type of games where you're actually playing, the core thing is that you want to simulate the game itself, the gameplay. I understand that, but I would really love if they take a bit more extra detail in stats, have things like where it keeps track of all of your trades, all the trades, not just yours, but all the team's trades. Keep the stats, or keep tracking the stats for every season the players played, and they have access to that. You have the stats on, they have services for that. It's no problem. Like HockeyDB, for instance, has that. But anyway, yeah, so you have that. Also, another thing used to always annoy me a little bit is I would like to see stat splits when a player gets traded. So, for instance, again, I'm a Leafs fan, so if I traded, or I traded for, I don't know, let's take out a name here, Duncan Keith, for instance. So we trade for Keith. I like to see the stats between, whatever team he's on now versus, or whoever I traded from to what he is on Toronto, to have the stats split up, So, I mean, that's a thing that it's not essential to an NHL game. Of course, gameplay is your primary concern, but I hope that they actually add that, especially with the new technology of next-gen consoles. There's really no excuse not to do that. Of course, one of the concerns, perhaps, from a development point of view, is that keeping all of these stats takes up space, right? So perhaps it could be an option where people who have smaller hard drives maybe don't want to fill up their hard drive with all these stats, which is fine. But someone like myself who wouldn't mind, give us the option. That's all I really want. So you can have like different options when you're setting up your be a GM mode or be a player mode or whatever. Have stat tracking. Do you want advanced stat tracking? Do you want simple stat tracking, and go from there? Speaking about be a player mode, I think I touched on this in a previous video, but live the life mode, I'm really excited for that. And having watched the trailer rather, it seems to have a lot of what I wanted in a more advanced be a player mode. They have things like your teammates can actually take you out to dinner or ask you to go to a party or whatever. You can participate in press conferences. If you get traded, you talk to the media about that. I think apparently there's even family related stuff in there, and just overall, I mean, they seem to add a lot to it. Now again, being that it's the last game of, well, put it this way, while I'm happy that they added this into NHL 14, it's kind of strange how they're doing it on the very last main entry for current gen consoles. Why they didn't improve this some more and wait until the next gen, I don't know. But at the same time, I am thrilled that they have decided to add it into NHL 14. But I'm really looking forward to live the life. I don't know what more they'll add into there, if they're going to add the ability to buy cards and stuff and houses. I heard that they are, but that's not really confirmed yet as far as I know. If you guys know, definitely put it in the comment section below. I like to check that out, but I haven't heard nothing. And I mean, I'm just looking forward to that. It's one of those modes. It should be better than it is right now, and they did a lot of improvements, especially in NHL 13, where now you can simulate your shift to the next shift. Before, you had to play essentially the whole game. So what ended up happening, either you put it in 5-minute periods, and then the stats get all wonky. You know, ice time is 30 minutes a game or 40 minutes a game. Now what they do is they set it to 20-minute periods, real minute periods, but they simulate, you simulate to your next shift, so you don't play a full 20 minutes, which is great. Another thing I noticed having watching this video now is I really hope that they improve on lag and stuff like that for online. It happens way too much, and especially in this game, near the end of the game, I don't believe it's come up yet, it cost me a chance to really put this game away, and it's just crazy how much lag is in this game. There's really no excuse for it. Again, hopefully that's something that on next-gen consoles that they're really focused on, especially with a lot of the games coming out for next-gen, where it's a lot of online connectivity. So I hope that EA actually invests a bit more into servers and stuff like that. Kind of a funny joke there. They probably won't, but it's EA, right? But hopefully they actually decide to finally put some money into servers and stuff, and realize that people like your games, but they want to be able to play it without one guy glitching out. Because one thing I noticed is that while lag, generally speaking, affects both players, there's a few times where I've had lag issues where the other person has not. And I've talked to a few people when I've played these. I asked, I'm experiencing this lag. Are you experiencing any lag? And either they can't see it, or they're blind, or whatever. But most of these guys say, yeah, well, I don't have this lag. So, but then there's other times, especially when I play with Buyaka, where there's lag a lot. And then other times you get great matches. So I don't really know what the issue is and how to resolve it. But I mean, it's something they got to really look into to see that. And it's funny here, just watching this video now, this guy brings it within one with 4 minutes and 28 seconds to go. I gotta be honest, I was kind of sweating a little bit. Before this goal, I was like kind of coasting along, wasn't really worried about it, wasn't really trying to go for another goal. Now I got some pressure, I got to go for a goal, and then it starts to lag, which really annoyed me. So yeah, I mean, you have that. And the other thing I'd like to see, I don't know if they it actually is in the game now. In the previous video, I was talking about the goalie mode, and it looked like from the trailer where they announced Brodeur as the cover art or the cover guy, that it looked like in the trailer that there was like a mask view where it's like a first-person mask view. From what I understand, it's not really part of the game, although no one really knows for sure. I know it's not in the demo. I looked, I tried, but hopefully it is actually in the game, because I think that would be pretty sweet, as I mentioned earlier, where you can actually screen a human goalie, and if they can't see the puck, it's hard to stop the puck, right? And by the way, there was the moment where I kind of like passed it when I probably normally would have shot, being on the breakaway and right in front of the net. Stupid lag. But I mean, that's my main concerns, and I hope, and some of them they have fixed. Another quick little thing with just 30 seconds to go in the game. I always wanted them to tweak the fighting, especially have bench brawls and stuff, and they're finally adding it. And having played the demo, the fighting system's amazing. It's one thing they did a great job, and they finally improved it. And even having things like bruises and stuff. Now I realize they can't have blood. I'm not one of these people that have to have blood in my hockey games, but because I realize that they want to go for this E rating, right? And the NHL simply won't allow it. But it's nice to see the bruising and things, so they really improved on that. And I think that's basically it. So what did I think about NHL 13 as a whole this year? I really enjoyed this game. Unlike NHL 12, which froze on me every freaking time I tried to play it, and I was really disappointed with the game. NHL 13 really improved in a lot of areas. I wish I would have done more videos on it, but that's where NHL 14 will hopefully come into play, especially with Live the Life mode, which I will be doing as soon as I get my copy of NHL 14. So anyways, that's basically it. This is LeBurn98 and signing off. See you guys. Bye.
I'm Gary Thorne along with Bill Clement. We'll see you next time.